Hi, everyone. Let's get started. First of all, thank you for taking the time for joining us for our European webinar today, entitled Are You OK, Zoomers? My name is Jacqueline van 't Hof. I'm a research manager at Insights, and I'm joined today by my colleague Joeri van den Bergh, co-founder and partner at Insights Consulting. Joeri is our very own future consumer expert, knowing all the ins and outs of teen and young adults. Now, in today's webinar, we want to talk about Gen Z. We all know that this is a super diverse generation, ready to change the world. It's shaping our future consumer behavior, and with that also impacts your brands. Though the global pandemic had a great impact on their lives, and the questions that rise, how did the pandemic affect Gen Z's mental health and future? And how did it affect the brands that they love? How do they look at their careers, their money, and their success? And is the metaverse really their new hangout place? And are NFTs the new big thing? That's what we will find out in the coming hour. Before I hand over to Joeri, feel free to ask questions via the chat. We will answer your questions at the end of our webinar during the Q&A. Joeri, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jacqueline, for the nice introduction, and welcome everyone on my behalf as well. So today we'll share some of the highlights of the European Gen Z report. We're doing this study worldwide, but today is really focused on the European results. You will get a QR code at the end of this webinar and presentation to download not only the European report, but also the other regions if you're interested. I won't be able to share everything in the report, so there's much more. So go ahead and download the report, of course. So let's start. And lately, I have two Gen Z daughters myself. They're aged 14 and 18. And I've been wondering lately, are they still okay? Are they still feeling okay? Because to be honest, the past 2 years, Jacqueline referred to the pandemic, they have been quite unusual for them. And yeah, many of them were actually in lockdowns. Their lives got paused for 2 years. Sometimes their education or internships got disrupted. They missed certain milestones in life, whether it's a 16th or 18th birthday, driver's licenses, holidays, partying. So are they still feeling okay? And it's not just the pandemic, of course, because just like all of us after the pandemic, now this young generation is confronted with a new crisis, a world war taking place in Europe. And this might have an effect on how they're feeling, how they're looking at the world, specifically because most of them are still in what we call their formative years. So their brains are still developing. So they're quite vulnerable as well. So the first thing we saw in our research, and again, these are the European results, is that it's a generation that is really struggling with stress. And if you compare the figures, a number of Gen Zers that say I suffer from high levels of stress to just I'm feeling stressed is significantly higher than other generations. And you can see the younger our kids are, the more they feel stressed. And increasingly, we can witness how this stress is manifesting. Last summer, for instance, I was really amazed when I was watching the Summer Olympics in Tokyo. And Simone Biles, who is just a member of Gen Z, withdrew from the women's gymnastics final to protect her own mental health. And that was the first time I saw something like that, especially during the Olympic Games. And as a Gen Xer, it was, what is happening? These are the Olympic Games. And it was quite new to me, but not quite new to Generation Z, who is really suffering from many stress factors. So we asked to the ones that first indicated I'm feeling stressed to highly stressed, what are the stressors? And what you can see is that the number one and much more higher than for other generations is my job, like in Simone Biles' case, or even my studies, because there's a lot of pressure on achievement. Gen Z as Gen X dads like myself, who are the yuppie generation, and they put a lot of pressure on the kids. And you can see that in the results already. But it's not the only stress factor. There's other components as well. And you can see that the second one in this top 4 that is really significantly higher than other generations is comparing myself to others. And to illustrate that, let's have a look at an episode from one of my favorite Gen Z related series, the HBO series called Euphoria.
Kat hated herself. But the problem with hating yourself is you can't really talk about it. Because at some point recently, the whole world joined a self-help cult and won't shut the fuck up about it.
It's not gonna solve all your life problems, but it is gonna solve
Kat,
battle.
you're one of the bravest, most beautiful human beings I have ever seen.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. I wish I had your confidence.
But I don't, feel healthy.
Yes, you are.
No, seriously, I'm not.
Kat, you just have to love yourself.
But that's what I'm trying to tell you. I fucking hate myself.
Every day you get out of bed, it's an act of courage.
That's easy for you to say. You don't have, fucking mental problems.
Yes, I do. Why do you think I look like this?
Are you kidding? I wish my mental problems made me look like you.
Trust me, you don't.
Trust me, I do. You're the most beautiful person I've ever fucking seen.
Maybe by a white, cis, male, heteronormative standard?
Oh my God, are you fucking joking? Just said the fuck Kat, are you fucking serious? It's not you fucking talking, it's the patriarchy! It is me talking, you are not listening!
No, society puts things into your mind.
I don't care about society, I feel like shit!
Kat, you need to smash all beauty standards.
But I can't even get out of bed.
You have to love yourself.
You need to find your inner fucking warrior.
Become a bad bitch, just like you did last year.
But that wasn't even real.
It looked real.
That was the point.
I found it inspiring.
Shut the fuck up!
Love yourself! 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 Love yourself!
Quite a strong fragment of this second episode of the second season of Euphoria. And it illustrates comparing myself to others all the time, which is what this generation is doing and which is delivering them stress. But it also illustrates another notion which we call toxic positivity, and where it's good to stay positive in life in general and to be optimistic, which this generation also is, by the way. Toxic positivity is giving the wrong dose of positivity to the wrong person at the wrong time. And this can also be quite harmful. Luckily, we increasingly see that celebrities, but also day-to-day social media creators are opening up on their social media. So they're removing filters, #NoFilter, or even like Bella Hadid here on the slide, a supermodel with 50 million followers, talking about her anxiety and depression problems, and even weeping during this Instagram live video that she was sharing with her 50 million followers. And this has, of course, an effect on the generation. If the role models, if celebrities are doing this, it means that it's okay to talk about mental health problems, which is quite important for them as well. Increasingly, we also see brands reacting to this mental health issue with the young generation. And a great example is what Lush did. Lush, you could call Lush the body shop of Generation Z. And in November last year, they decided to stop all the social media channels. So they're not present anymore on TikTok, on Facebook, on Snapchat, on Instagram. And the reason why can be found in the quote of the founder of Lush. He says, "We're creating products to help this generation to unwind, to relax, to switch off. And social media and the algorithms behind it are doing the opposite. They keep them scrolling. They prevent them from switching off and relaxing. So it doesn't make sense to be part of this game," is what Lush said as a positioning statement. Another example is Dove. Dove, a quite popular brand even among Gen Z, a Unilever brand. And of course, we remember the campaign for Real Beauty, which is already 13 years ago. They recently updated this campaign for Real Beauty with this reverse selfie video. So we see the process of posting a selfie on Instagram, for instance, or on other social media, using certain apps. And by reversing it, you see the girl removing every filter, whether it's an online filter or every step in makeup that she's doing to post a picture of herself on social media. In the end, revealing how the girl really looks like in real life, and also stressing the fact that this is a pressure of social media on these young girls. And Dove was doing this because in a research, they found out that by the age of 13, 8 out of 10 girls have already used face editing tools. And they say it's not only removing impurities of the skin or freckles, but also removing confidence. So that's the campaign. And the idea is also to educate parents how they can handle this. And this young generation, we also see that in the results of our study, is a bit in a confidence crisis. Almost 1 out of 2, half of the Generation Zers say that they are often lacking confidence. And the drink you see twirling around on the slide, it's an existing drink. It is a startup of Beverly Hills-based Gen Z entrepreneurs. And they said the functional drink for our generation shouldn't have caffeine or taurine or sugar inside, but they are adding mood-boosting ingredients like rhodiola, magnesium, GABA, 5-HTP. So still a functional drink, but more on the side of mental health, you could say. Now, luckily, as I already mentioned, this is an optimistic generation. And if we ask them, how did you survive the pandemic? What did you do? What did you change during the pandemic? Most of them, I can summarize it as they saw it as a fresh start. Some of them had some more time and they used the time to learn more about themselves, but also to focus on personal growth. So many of them started to find out new hobbies, more creative hobbies, but many of them also learned new skills, like a new language, coding. So they took this time to invest in themselves and in their future. And they're also expecting the same of brands again. They're reflecting this in what they ask from brands. And what we see is that half of Generation Z wants to pay more for brands that are really supporting their goals in life, or almost coaching them, you could say. It was a great example in the UK during the pandemic of the alcohol-free beer called Freestar. They started up a WhatsApp mentoring hotline through which Generation Z could ask for advice when applying for a new job, like how do I write my application letter, how do I prepare for the job interview. And during these WhatsApp video calls, they could talk to executives of BBC or Tesla UK and get some professional advice to be ready for the job market. Another approach we saw in the Nordics in Europe, where Canon, the brand of cameras and audio-video equipment, they tapped into the idea of this great resignation, knowing that Generation Z was going through this self-reflection time, and they said, isn't it time to turn your hobby and your creative skills into a career? And they also offered mentorship in terms of how do you start up as an influencer, how do you create great videos on socials. And to apply for this mentorship, you had to write your resignation letter to your boss, and the best resignation letters were selected, and they got the mentorship from sponsored by Canon. So in this first part of the presentation, we talked about, are they still feeling okay? We know that they have high stress levels, that they're suffering a bit with a lack of confidence, but on the other hand, they stay optimistic And they also saw the pandemic as the great pause and also a fresh start to really work on their future and learn new skills. And brands can play a role in that by helping them to learn new skills, by offering them advice in their career, and by being there for them during all the difficulties in their life stage. Now, next, before we move to the second chapter, I'd like to have a little bit of interaction with you, even though we're still doing this remote and online. And so we created a little poll. In a minute, you will see that my technical wizard, Emily, will make this poll pop up for you. And it's a question based on the following case situation. This is Zoe Amira. I'm not sure if you know Zoe Amira. She's a beauty vlogger. There's many beauty vloggers. Zoe Amira has almost 70,000 followers on YouTube. And during the Black Lives Matter crisis, Zoe created a 1-hour compilation, a video on YouTube of Black artists. And she said, guys, please watch the 1 hour of content and click on the ads. And if you do that, I will donate all the AdSense, Google AdSense revenues, all the revenues from my video to a charity related to the Black Lives Matters. And my question to you is, what do you think of this kind of activism? And you can see the poll popping up, question 1. How do you feel about this kind of virtual activism? Do you think it's okay? Then you vote okay. Or do you think, no, this activism, it's not okay? Then you vote no, it's not okay. And I will give you some time for that. So this virtual activism of Zoe Amira, a YouTube influencer, beauty influencer, creating content and asking people to watch the ads, click the ads so that you can donate the money. Do you think that is okay? I can vote now. Maybe I'm voting as well to see if it works. And while you're voting, and Emily hopefully will share the results to me, I can explain that though Zoe Amira only has 70,000 followers, the video that she created was watched more than 10 million times and received more than 850,000 likes. And people reacted like, we have the video permanently on repeat. Or that's really an amazing way to be able to contribute to charity, because I don't need money myself to actually support this goal. It's the advertiser who is paying and donating the money. And in the results of the poll, we can see that almost 8 out of 10 of you, like 79%, says it is okay, this kind of activism. And 21% of you says it is not okay. So it was a huge success. There was a certain party who didn't think this was okay. And that was Google, actually. Google themselves, they removed the video because they said it's not in line with our policy, because this is a bit of fraud. You cannot fake engagement or ask people to click on ads. That's against the policy of Google, to click on the ads you will see on Google. It's a bit weird, I think, but it's against the policy because it's fraud. So they removed the video, but of course, then there was some protest, and then they pledged to donate the amount that Zoe Amira had already raised, which was, I think, around 30,000 euros to the goal that she was planning to support. But this is a good example of how this young generation is a woke generation. And I know woke is often used as a negative term, especially by Gen Xers, to talk about young generations, like, yeah, woke in talks, but are they also woke in actions? What do they do themselves? But I think what Zoe did is one great example of how this young generation understands how they can use social media and just clicking, doing things online and still have an effect in the end. I think the climate protests of Greta Thunberg is another example. As a Gen Xer, when my daughter said, listen, Dad, I don't want to go to school on Friday because there's a climate protest, I was like, can't you go on a protest in the weekend or on Sunday? But this generation understands to really have an impact in media, to make a case, you should do something that resonates with media as well. So they understand the system, they know how to use their online strength as well. And when we look at the click-activism, you could call it, we again see that the young generation is more active when it comes to following social justice media accounts, but also voicing their opinions on social media and even participating in protests, often online protests. Probably some of you might remember what happened to Donald Trump during his presidential campaign. He was doing this speech in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and a bit inspired by BTS, the K-pop boy band, you could say. Some Gen Zers started to boycott this rally. And how did they do it? They created videos on social media like the one I will show you.
Oh no, I signed up for a Trump rally and I can't go. I'm sick. Oh no, I signed up for a Trump rally and I can't go. I'm sick.
So this video, for instance, was watched more than 1 million times on TikTok, and many Gen Zers registered for the event and didn't turn up. And it led to, as you can see on the picture to the right side of the screen, to an empty stadium. The stadium in Tulsa, could accommodate like 25,000 people, and there was only 6,000 people in the room. Now, the Gen Zers were clever enough to create these videos for 24 hours, all go on this online protest together, and then they removed the videos on social media after the 24 hours, because they know if the Republican campaign team finds out, they will take actions to fill the stadium anyway. So they were clever enough to do this a bit below the line and still have an effect. So they're activists, for sure. Sometimes purely online activists, but really knowing how to trigger the right effects, as this is a good illustration of how you can have an effect by just doing things online. And so is the case study of Zoe and Mira. On the other hand, they also, again, expect brands to be an activist themselves, to have a point of view on societal issues, to voice their opinions as well, and also to be in line with what is important to them in life. And we can see that in Europe, more than 1/3 of Generation Z wants to pay more, again, for brands that are female-owned, and 1/3 also for brands that are Black-owned. So they want to see these values reflected in brands. Google actually introduced new badges for Google businesses when they found out that after Black Lives Matter, the search for Black-owned businesses went up with 600%, so 6 times more searches for, is this a Black-owned business or not? And they created this badge where you can indicate I'm Black-owned or I'm women-led. And today they're using Black Friday as the day to promote Black-owned businesses. And they create shoppable videos with more than 50 different Black-owned businesses and brands that you can just click and order on that day. So this is how Google is also involved with this activism, understanding from the data that it is important to connect with this young generation. Another aspect of this wokeness is, of course, everything that's related with taboos, especially taboos related to sexuality, to gender differences, to LGBT+. And we see in our results in Europe also that more than half of Generation Z agrees that there is still too many gender stereotypes. And this almost the same amount agrees that gender identity can change over time. And we see 4 out of 10 Generation Zers who say, I know at least someone who prefers to be called by a gender neutral pronoun. So they're growing up in a more diverse society, also more gender fluid and gender diverse society. And again, they want to see this reflected. And it's already reflected in media. For instance, if we look at DC Comics, the new Superman is bisexual. If we look at celebrities like Harry Styles is a real supporter of the LGBT community. And in interviews, he says, why are you always asking about my sexuality? I don't think it's relevant anymore. And Harry Styles also created a cosmetics line called Pleasing, which is quite successful with Generation Z. And one of the aspects of this makeup, I bought it for my daughters as well, because they're really fond of it. It's ridiculously expensive, I must say. But it looks nice, and it's from Harry Styles. But the key point is this is not just for girls, it's gender neutral makeup, and it's quite popular with boys as well to wear this makeup sometimes on one of their fingers. Related to this equality is the online world. And if you download the report, you will get results on how many of them are participating in esports, are creating avatars, are gaming. And at least half of Generation Z in Europe is an online gamer. And these avatars, they create equality for them, because on one day they can be like the Coca-Cola monster you see to the left side of the screen, and on the other day they can feel totally different and create an avatar that looks like the right one on the screen. In our research, we see that the youngest generation, also millennials, but also Generation Z, feels that the advantage of virtual worlds is that it's equalizing. Everyone is equal in a virtual setting or in the metaverse, you could say. And this creates new opportunities for media brands, for instance. This is a new show launched by Fox in the US. It's called Alter Ego. And you could look at it as a crossover between Masked Singer on one hand and The Voice or X Factor on the other hand, but really using these avatar principles and new technology to create this inclusivity in this talent show. Let's have a look at how this works.
Lost dreams and second chances are reignited when singers from all walks of life become the stars they've always dreamed of being.
Look what we got here! What?
Growing up, people always judged me by the way I looked and the way I sang, but I realized I don't have to be afraid.
In front of some of the biggest names in music, will.i.am, Alanis Morissette, Rhymes, and Nick Lachey, as they search for the next generation superstar.
I can't wait to meet the human beings behind these alter egos.
An alter ego actually really helps me a lot in life.
I like the hair. Yo, do that again, bro.
So avatars can also be used to create more equality, even in talent shows and new media programs. We talked about the wokeness. We started from click-activism, but also getting rid of biases and taboos and more equality. And of course, here, brands can play a role as platforms to create more social impact. And again, Generation Z really expect brands to work on this social impact and to create a better world. Let's move to the last part of this presentation, and it's related to the future, to money. We know that with inflation, rising inflation, possible recession, that the cost of living is going up in utility bills, but also in the food that this young generation is buying. So how are they looking at money, at work, and at their financial future? And one conclusion is clear from our study. They understand that to not only to be successful, but just to have a comfortable life, they will have to work hard. And many of them are already at a young age hustling hard, working hard, because when we look at the results in Europe, there is more than half of Generation Z that is earning extra money today with a side job. And this is significantly higher than other generations at this moment, of course. And sometimes it really starts at a very young age. This is an example of Jamie Ibanez. Jamie Ibanez started to earn money by selling snacks to his fellow college students or high school students. And he earned like $5,000 by just taking a margin on selling snacks to the lazy peers in his classroom. And when he graduated at the age of 18, he tried to have a job with an employer, yeah, very soon he felt that it's not the same thing as running my own business. And so this hunger for entrepreneurship, I think it's something that we can recognize with the young generation as well. It was already there with millennials, but you see in Europe that at this point, half of Generation Z is stating that they would like to start up their own business. So there is this eagerness to be your own boss, but also the eagerness to create your own business. And it also explains why certain celebrities like Elon Musk, for instance, are often mentioned when we ask them, who are your role models? This is typically my friends, my parents, so someone close to them. But when we look further into celebrities, it's often those who are also successful in terms of changing the world, like Elon Musk, doing something sustainable, being an entrepreneur, but also being successful in earning money and having your own business. So coming back to Jamie Ibanez, today, Jamie decided to use his $5,000 that he got from selling snacks to his friends and buy a first vending machine. And then today he has 32 vending machines in North Texas that is earning him like $10,000 a month. And then he also started a YouTube channel explaining how to start your vending machine business. And that is also bringing in $5,000 to $10,000 a month, depending on how many videos he's creating and the advertising he gets from the YouTube videos and the Google AdSense revenues. So that's quite clever again, to use also the social media and influencer strength. And Jamie is not the only one. If you would look, you would search on YouTube on vending machine business, you will find different vending machine influencers, you can call them, that are all doing the same as Jamie, earning money with their business, but also sharing their insights, sharing their ideas, quite proudly on YouTube, and also, of course, earning money with these videos, because as you can see, the other followers also have more than 500,000 followers on YouTube. This is what we could call the passion economy. It's not just achieving something with your business or earning money. It's really being passionate about a new skill, a new hobby that you've learned, and starting a business from that passion that you have. And there's again an opportunity for brands. And I think H&M, for instance, understood that apart from their retail business to Generation Z, they could also start a wholesale business. So H&M today has blank stables, which is selling items to Generation Z influencers that want to create their own t-shirts, their own fashion collection, using the blank canvas that the blank staples collection of H&M is offering them. You can buy up to 200 different or same items from one piece of this collection and then start creating something, like printing something on the t-shirt. So H&M cleverly understood this is a creative generation, and it's also a business for us. It's a wholesale business for H&M. And it taps into this creativity idea. Being creative is quite important to this generation. We also see that daily on social media. If you look at the social media that are really popular with this generation, like TikTok, for instance, and Instagram, it's all about creating videos, creating content that is appealing. And there is another opportunity for brands, of course. And Netflix, for instance, understands that the content they have can be very useful in launching new memes and creating more buzz on social media with this generation. And lately we saw with the 4th season of Stranger Things that they were endorsing this creativity again with this young generation by giving them all the tools and the songs to create content themselves, with Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill as an important factor. Let's have a look at one of the more than 1 million videos that you can find today on TikTok that's related to Stranger Things and the Kate. So we're imitating a teaser video or a scene in Stranger Things that Netflix has created, and they have endorsed the fact that young people are recreating these scenes on TikTok. It's not only benefiting Stranger Things and Netflix, but also Kate Bush, because this song from 1985. It is challenging Harry Styles, #1 song for the moment in the Billboard chart. It's now on #2. And this is a song from 1985 that is now on #2 in the chart just because of this creative meme generation on TikTok. And of course, because Stranger Things, quite popular series, has used this song as well. Let's become a bit interactive again. And this is the second time that you can voice your opinion yourself by Click-activism, by sharing your opinion through the poll that Emily will soon pop up. And it's related to the following case study. This is a cocktail that was introduced by a steakhouse in New York called Quality Eats. You will find a steakhouse in the West Village of New York. And if you wanted to buy this cocktail, it would cost you $1,400 US. You think it's okay to sell a cocktail of $1,400 today, or do you think it's not okay? So Quality Eats in the West Village of New York is selling a cocktail for $1,400. Do you think it's okay? Then you vote okay. If you think it's not okay, then you vote it's not okay. And I'm waiting for the results. Right, 77% of the ones who participated in the poll say it's not okay to sell a cocktail for $1,400, and 23% says yes, it's okay. Now, of course, Quality Eats really did it, but it was not just a physical cocktail. You couldn't even drink it. It was an NFT. And it brings me to the next topic, which is related to NFTs and investment. So they sold this last year in April. Back then at 0.75 Ethereum, as you can see, which was back then worth $1,400, today a bit less, I'm afraid. The cocktail was called Into the Ether, and you received the recipe and also the picture, but also the rights to this picture and to the recipe exclusively as a typical NFT. And actually, you could also, every time you would go to Quality Eats, you could get this cocktail when you showed your NFT. But it was sold immediately, almost in the hype of NFTs. Now, coming to NFTs and financial investments, what we see in our research is also a part on finance, is that almost half of Generation Z has an increased interest in financial planning. So of course, they're thinking about the future, about how can I create more certainty for my future. And it's becoming less easy to do that in the current economical situation. And more than one out of three, 34%, is following finfluencers on their social media, of course, as well, because social media are the real source, whether it's for news or even for financial advice. So one of the important influencers we've seen is Mrs. Dow Jones, for instance. She's sharing her financial advice, but as you can see, in a very meme type of way, also using celebrities, but creating this memes and this slogans, which really resonates with this young generation. There's also what I would call finfluencer freaks that are a bit scary. Let's have a look at one of these finfluencer freaks.
$500,000 for my Rolls Royce, $750,000 for my Aventador, another $250,000 for a few other cars each. How do I have this at 22 years old? Let me tell you, it's NFTs. If you're not capitalizing on this multi-billion-dollar market, you've got it all wrong. Join my Discord and I'm going to teach you exactly how to get into this industry, whether you have little to no money, a medium amount of money, or a high intensive amount of capital to generate massive revenue. Join the Discord.
Okay. Sometimes it can be wrong to follow certain influencers. In the results, we see that NFTs in Europe, and these again on the results based on field in February, March, that 1 out of 10 of Generation Z in Europe already bought an NFT, which is significantly more than other generations. 70% already invested in crypto, again, significantly higher than other generations. But also quite important, this generation is investing in art and in luxury fashion brands, as well as certain streetwear brands. So this can be the limited edition sneakers of Nike. They see it as an investment, important investment as well, much more than other generations, which explains why luxury fashion brands and sneaker brands are already quite active in the metaverse and in the NFT business in Web3, as we call it. This is an example of Gucci. Gucci created Gucci Garden on Roblox, where they sold this. This is the physical Dionysus Queen Bee handbag you can find in a Gucci store, and it would cost you $3,400. But if you would have bought it last year on Gucci Garden on Roblox, so in a digital gaming environment, you could buy it for $5.50. Of course, only digital, and it was only there for a very limited amount of time. And it seemed to be a good investment because one girl bought it and then was able to resell it for $4,115. So widely surpassing the price of the physical handbag in the store. And it's just something that you can use in Roblox. But it is quite a sustainable handbag as well, because it won't wear out. You can, in 1,000 years, it will still look the same for sure. In the report, again, you will find more information on the metaverse and how Generation Z is already creating avatars. I think Gen Z is the most ready for the metaverse because 20% of them have already created avatars in gaming environments, and a bit less, just slightly less, 70% already paid for digital goodies in the past 6 months. So they're really open to this digital goodie market because they have the metaverse mindset. And it means that even other brands, also in FMCG, should invest more in creating digital content, of course, to resonate with this young generation and to understand what can we do with the metaverse. Coca-Cola, since this year, is investing in what you could call limited edition flavors. The first one they launched, and that you can find already in Europe, is this Starlight Coca-Cola, which is an intergalactic flavored Coca-Cola, limited edition again. But when you buy it, it gives you also access to, for instance, an online concert of Ava Max online. So concert online, virtual concert is something that this generation is already into. And this was the old limited edition. There's already a new one. It's called Coca-Cola Bites. And this one is pixel flavored, and it's really addressing the gaming generation. because you can, apart from the physical drink, you can also find it digitally on Fortnite. So you can get the drink digitally, and you can play games on Pixel Island, a separate island created by Coca-Cola in Fortnite. So Coca-Cola also in FMCG is aware that to connect with this generation, we also need to tap into the metaverse. But we talked about how will the future work out for this generation in this last chapter. We talked about passion, economy, and creativity. Of course, creating avatars is a way of being creative. We before that, we talked about their wokeness, and we started with, are they still feeling okay, or are they struggling with stress? If you want to learn more about this total report, you can scan the QR code and then leave your details, and you will get the report not only from Europe, but also from other regions that we will launch in the future or has already been launched. And I'm very eager to listen to your questions as well. So thanks a lot for your interest and time. Before we dive into the questions, and I see there's only already a lot of them in the chat, I think Jacqueline will share some of the cases we've done with Generation Z globally and in Europe, so that I have time to have a look at your first questions. Jacqueline, the floor is yours now.
Thank you, Joeri. Yes, so the first example that I'd like to share is of Nike Sportswear, who wanted to re-engage with young consumers in Hong Kong to develop a more localized strategy and to really reignite the local sneaker culture. So this question ties into the focus on personalization within this generation. And basically what the brand needed to do was really just get a deeper understanding of what defines Gen Z, what their values are, what their beliefs and what their attitudes are. Though in wanting to do that, there were also some challenges, because when this question came up, the Hong Kong protests were going on, but there were also the challenges of COVID in terms of not being able to meet in person. So it was really hard to get these young people together, and we also knew that taking an offline approach was off the table. But knowing that this generation, as told by Joeri, spends a lot of time online, we decided to take an online approach. So we invited 30 young Hong Kong consumers, a mix of so-called fashionistas and sneakerheads in the age of 18 till 24. And we basically asked them to share their lives and their views on fashion during a 3-week online community on our Square platforms. And they felt really comfortable in this online environment. So this was really an opportunity for these youngsters to get in contact with other fashion and sneaker-minded people, but also to share a lot of photos and videos of their outfits of the day. They showed their shoes and their clothes collection, but they also spoke about their favorite Instagram influencers, and they really opened up about who they are and who they want to be and what was important to them in their lives. So they shared a lot of personal and sensitive and unique stories. And at the end of the day, this really showed us how to engage with these young people based on their evolving state of mind, using a local online community and talking about a topic that really interests them, which was sneaker related and fashion related. So all these insights provided Nike with the 360 view of this sneaker and fashion minded Gen Z consumers, and it really helped them to understand what was important to them, who they were, why they felt the way they do and did the things they do, all to underlie their consumer behavior, helping them to better understand this generation. The second example is for Vichy. Skincare is a fast-moving category, and brands within that category really need to connect with consumers to stay relevant and ahead of competition. So that's why Vichy wanted to dig deep into who this Gen Z is and what they are expecting from skincare brands. So we all know that this generation is struggling with acne and pimples and breakouts. And that's why Vichy felt that they needed deep insights as this could help them in developing more relevant communication that really taps into this generation's key values and characteristics. So our in-house culture and trends department organized in-depth interviews with 6 US and China based leading edge Gen Z consumers of our Illum network. And they spoke about their needs and their wants and their expectations, all related to acne and pimples. And after we conducted the interviews, we gave them a creative task. We asked them to create a mood board of their favorite Gen Z brand campaigns and their favorite beauty products. And analyzing the output of this while using our human drivers model really helped us to identify a set of future communication opportunity areas that were really relevant for this generation, tapping into their values and their attitudes. And collaborating with these leading edge consumers brought Vichy a deeper learning and a deeper knowledge of this specific generation and really helped them to develop and fine-tune their communication strategy. And one more example before we go to the questions. This one is from a soft drink brand Fanta. And they basically challenged us to create fresh inspiration to fill their innovation funnel. And the brand really wanted to create a strong focus on disruptive innovations, focusing on their core audience, teenagers. And they had 2 specific key areas that were put forward to explore with these teenagers. And the first one was sensory pleasure, which is all about a new and exciting taste experience. And the second one, collective fun, really revolved around product and packaging concepts to drive fun, and which was sort of the social dimension of the Fanta experience. So from a solution perspective, we took a 4-step innovation approach. We started by exploring the world of teenagers via secondary research. So we combined this with our in-house thought leadership around next generation. And in the second phase, we shared these insights with our creator network, the ICA network, in a global ideation contest. So basically, we gave these contestants a design brief that said, create a new Fanta drink for teenagers that will offer a new taste and a fun experience. This resulted in over 110 out-of-the-box IDs. And we also gathered almost 30 IDs from Fanta's internal stakeholders. So we ended up with a pool of 140 new unique IDs for Fanta. And out of those 140 IDs, we selected 54 the most promising IDs and turned them into concepts during a 2-day ideation and concept writing workshop with the Fanta team. And after that, we did a final evaluation on our online research community with over 150 teenagers who were invited to really evaluate and further fine-tune these IDs. And by taking this iterative approach, Fanta was able to fuel their innovation funnel with out-of-the-box IDs coming from the teenagers itself. And they are actually launching the first IDs based on this study into the market. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation. You can scan the QR code to receive and get access to the full OK Zoomers deck, also for the other markets. If you have any questions, feel free to send Joeri an email and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.